I was nurtured when it was pride to go to public schools as against private schools. And when, despite pockets of robberies, the nation was relatively safe. I asked myself, can we say the same of the present times? At what point did we miss it? All hope is not lost. We can still retrace our steps as a nation and change the narrative. We can still achieve such an amazing and egalitarian society if only we can remember where we are coming from and do the needful. For me, I see a new Nigeria that all our Sunday will be proud of, a Nigeria that will shun tribalism, embrace religious tolerance, and respect the rule of law. Our children certainly deserve a brighter and better tomorrow, not the memories of good old days. I am joining hands with Sir Shemode Badejo in this collective drive towards a greater and better tomorrow. How about you? Thank you.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Governor DAPO ABIODUN of OGUN State reportedly governing from London, and Senate passes new anti-kidnapping bill for second reading. This is Plus Politics, and I am Mary Anako. According to news reports, Ogun State Governor DAPO ABIODUN has been running the state of affairs from London, a move lawyers have described as unconstitutional because the governor did not transfer power before leaving the country. Governor ABIODUN, his deputy, Noimot Salako Oyedele, and the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Olakunle Oluomo, have been reportedly out of the country for a week. Now, joining us to discuss this is legal practitioner Jide Ologun and former Vice President of the Nigeria Bar Association, Dr. Monday Ubani. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Great. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Ubani, because you are one of the respondents to this story. I just want to start by saying that 7 days ago, Governor DAPO ABIODUN was pictured with the leader of the APC and former governor of Lagos State in London. But when his aide was asked of his whereabouts, because there had also been speculations that he probably was out of the country for health reasons. But his aide, which is the Commissioner for Information, had said that he was not there for health reasons, that he was there on an official assignment, and he's been away for a week. Now, people have questioned who's in charge right now, because he's not in the country, his deputy is not in the country, neither is the Speaker of the House of Assembly in the country. These are the three most important people in that state away at the same time. And one would wonder, has there been a precedence before in any state in this country where all the three people that should either be holding on to government or standing in for the governor are out of the country and no questions asked?
Yeah, it's something that is clearly worrisome. But I think that they want to hide under the strict provisions of the law. The Constitution says that if the governor of the state is unable to perform his official function or he is proceeding on vacation, whichever vacation it is, either medical or holiday, the Constitution says that he shall transmit a power to the State House of Assembly, to the Speaker, to ensure that the deputy governor will act in his state for these times that he is not able to perform his official function. And then subsection 2 of the Constitution that deals with this issue when the governor is not available to perform his official function also says that if he fails to do that, then after 21 days, the State House of Assembly shall now pass a resolution with a simple majority empowering the deputy to now act as the acting governor for the time being until he comes back. That is a provision of the law. So the governor cannot leave the state, without any iota of leadership anytime he is going on vacation or is unable. But I understand that the commissioner was saying that he is still on official duty. In other words, the issue of medical vacation was not mentioned. The issue of even being on holiday was not mentioned. So they are trying to avoid the situation where people can pin them down on the express provision of the Constitution. They are now saying that, oh, he's on official duty. And while on official duty, of course, he can operate from anywhere since he is not on vacation. That is actually what I understand from this report he just read tonight. They are trying now to say he's on official duty outside Nigeria. He's not on holiday and he is not unable to perform the duty that the Constitution of the country has assigned him to do. And so that is what is actually playing out. They are being smart by half, that is what I think. These politicians are very, very smart and they know how to play the game. I understand that the deputy is not in Nigeria. I also understand that the Speaker of the House is also not in Nigeria. So virtually everyone is on his own. They have gone on a war, so to speak.
Yes.
And so there is no person that is clearly now in charge, but the governor who says he's operating from anywhere in the world.
It makes me really wonder because, just as you've said, the Constitution clearly states that, or rather, let me put it to you as a question. Does the Constitution clearly spell out how the handover should go? Because I have worked in a government where the governor was away for a year and the deputy governor automatically became the governor of the state. But the modus operandi might not be clear. So for the common person who's watching, what is the procedure? And why wasn't that protocol followed in the first instance? Now that we have all three of them not around at the same time, should that authority not, or that mantle not be thrown to the SSG? Or who should it be? Because, there has to be a process, right?
Well, there has to be a process, and I'll spell out the provision of the Constitution. The Constitution says if the governor is unable to perform his official function, maybe medically he's not feeling well, and he cannot perform his official function, the law says he shall ensure that the deputy takes over the mantle of leadership. Now, if he's proceeding on vacation, and that vacation includes medical vacation, the word shall also is used, that he must transmit power to his deputy. But if he's unable to do all that, then that is where now the legislature comes in. After 21 days, they will now pass a resolution mandating the deputy to take over. Now, if there is no deputy, of course, the next person will be maybe the deputy speaker. That will take over. So there is that this thing that follows. But now the problem with this particular incident with DAPO is saying he is not on vacation. He is not unable to perform his duty. He's saying, I am on official duty. And the Constitution did not say that if you're on official duty, you must hand over to a deputy. So he's hinging his own reason now that he's on official duty. And I said he's being smart. He's being smart. So they cannot in any way fault him constitutionally. Now he's saying, I am on official duty, and I can, still command, reins of governance, even from abroad, because I have not in any way, I'm not on holiday. I am not on medical holiday. And all that. But there is a report that he has actually gone on medical holiday. I understand he just finished burying his father, or he's still planning to bury his father. I'm sure from the stress of the entire thing, he may have taken off in order to go and take some rest and all that. But he's saying that he's not on any rest. He's not on vacation medically. He's not also, going on holiday. That what he's doing in London is an official duty, and he has a right to continue to superintend the affairs of the state, even while in abroad, because the Constitution says it's only when you are going on vacation or you are unable to act that you can now hand over. And so I think they're being smart by half and all that. And I want to see how my friend can respond to this conversation. But I think that is what they're trying to do. They're being smart, and they have made it possible that even the key person that you would have handed over to are not even in Nigeria. So I learned.
I want to push another question, but I want to find out if Mr. Ologun has joined us. Mr. Ologun, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. The Commissioner for Information, Waheed Odushile, had said that the governor traveled, just as Dr. Bani has said, that the governor traveled on official duties, but his deputy, on the other hand, cannot be accounted for. They're not even sure what he's gone for, where he is. So that's one on the one hand. Now, the Speaker has been said to be part of the United Nations General Assembly, and he was representing lawmakers or heads of assemblies in the southwest of the country. So that person's going away has been accounted for, but the deputy governor has not been accounted for. Now, I'm trying to understand why all these people would be out, and then the governor would not at least give responsibility to one person, even though Odushile is saying that whoever the governor says do this or do that should do it, because, I mean, the governor has a right to govern from wherever he is, because hashtag he's on official duties. What do you think the fear is here, if there be any? And why can't the governor just say, well, I'm going to be away for a few days or a few weeks, handle this? Is there no trust in the government of that state?
Like Dr. Ubani brilliantly mentioned, this is a unique situation for us now, because what the Constitution says in Section 190 is that he should write to the House of Assembly
are you still there? I think we lost you. So, Dr. Bani, I'm coming back to you. Is it a thing of lack of trust, or is it a problem of...
It's not a matter of lack of trust now.
Okay,
like I said, it's unique. He is expected to have handed over to someone who is not available. So the three of them, the deputy governor and the Speaker of the House of Assembly, are all absent. I understand that in the case of the House of Assembly Speaker, he was in the US for the United Nations General Assembly. All right, so who do you...
Oh, I think that we're having connection issues with Dr. Barrister Ologun. We're going to go back to Dr. Bani. Unfortunately, we have to go back to Dr. Bani. So I'm going to let you continue where Dr. Ologun stops, and then we'll move on to something else. I mean, I've heard the explanation over and over again, but there is a deputy speaker, and there are other people. So it shouldn't be something that we should be debating on this show, if you ask me, if common sense were to be at work. But it seems like common sense is not really common, or maybe this is what the intention, to have people talk about it.
Maybe we'll have this conversation, on another, day about the issue of governance generally. Our leaders are not transparent, and they don't run transparent government, and they find it very difficult to allow certain persons to come and begin to run the state of affairs, because from the beginning, there was no transparency. If there has been a proper transparency in governance, where people have actually elected individuals to go and provide services, take care of our welfare, provide security of lives and properties, there won't be any issue of any person trying to hold power, even when you're not around. You want some other person to, take over power in order to ensure that there is no vacuum in governance, so that you can go and do whatever you want to do and come back. But because there is lack of transparency and there are issues of governance issue in Africa generally, they would not like to go, let go of power, when they're in charge. They want to still hold to it. And that's why you hear the argument that the governor can rule from anywhere in the world, as happened with even the presidency. President Buhari has several times traveled outside this country without handing over to the vice. He's been there. We're in court. I am on, trying to defend a client now in Court of Appeal because we lost at the lower court. They still interpreted it as, it must only be when the president is away for 21 days. And that is not the intention of the Constitution. The Constitution says the moment you are going on medical vacation, the moment you are going on holiday, or you are unable to act as a president, you shall use the word shall. Use the word shall. However, if you are not able to do that for 21 days, then mandatorily the House will come in. The legislative arm of government will now come in to pass a resolution mandating your deputy to take over governance. There will be a resolution, whether you like it or not. So this is not the issue of staying 30 days or 90 days that we had when Yar'Adua was sick outside. No, the Constitution has corrected that anomaly. Now says 21 days. But you know what these guys do? They now tell Nigerians that it's only when the president or when the governor will be outside the state or country for 21 days, that is only the time they will hand over power to their deputy. But that was not the intention of the crafters, to the people who crafted the Constitution. Their intention is that immediately you are going on leave.
But isn't the problem also the fact that most of these legislators or legislatures that we have across the country, I'm talking about the state and the federal, are some sort of a rubber stamp legislature, and that's why they wait for these days to elapse, and sometimes maybe for one or two sets of people to raise the alarm before they feel the need to do the necessary.
No, the point is that the House must, as of necessity, after 21 days. But what these guys do, and the president of the country has actually, laid a very good precedent. He doesn't stay more than 19 days or 18 days. He rushes back to the country. So most time, the president of the country does not stay up to 21 days because he knows there will be an uproar. But that is not the intention of the Constitution. The intention is only when you have breached the Constitution by staying up to 21 days, then the House now comes in to do what the law says they should do by passing a resolution. But ordinarily, if you are going for a holiday, even for day one, from day one, you must hand over. If it is 2 days or 3 days holiday or medical vacation, even for 1 week, you must hand over to your deputy. It's only when you now stay up to 21 days without doing what it's supposed to do, then the House comes in to now say, no, we must pass a resolution handing over to your deputy. So what they do now is they wait for maybe 18 days or 19 days. Or at most 20, they rush back and tell you they have not breached the Constitution. So these guys are being smart, but I know that people also will tinker with the Constitution in order to correct. It's an anomaly in the system. And it's something that, as I said earlier, that borders on governance. These guys will not want some people to come to know what they have been doing even while there. So they are afraid of their back. They are afraid of their shadows. So they want to be in power even when they are not even around the country. They want to rule from all over, even from heaven when they go to heaven. And that is something that is actually going on presently.
Pastor Logo, I think that you're back. Where is the responsibility here from our leaders? Where is accountability? Because, I mean, if, for example, we do not have lawyers who have the guts to call these governors out or these politicians out, and just like Barrister Obani said, we have even seen our president do this, and, nobody has bat an eyelid. So where is the place of accountability and leadership here to the people that are being led? If anybody can go anywhere and act like I can do anything and call it, official duties.
Incidentally, the culprits here are the ones who are supposed to enhance the capabilities of the laws and give us accountability as a very strong expectation in good governance. But they are the ones now walking on the face of the rule of law, because like we have expressed here, what is going on is just perhaps an intention to twist the lacuna in our laws. And I think the House of Assembly also should be thinking of how to enhance the capacity to accommodate situations like this. You recall when a candidate in Kogi State died in the course of election, the laws were amended to accommodate that unique situation. Now, I think this is about the first time that you have a governor and the deputy governor and the Speaker of the House of Assembly traveling at the same time. So the law is dynamic. How do we cover that? And talking about vacation or no vacation, I think we also look at defining where the governor can operate from, because it's a dangerous trend. So if Prince ABIODUN decides to remain in the UK for 1 year and he claims that he's still on duty, how do you define the territorial aspect of being on duty? Or is London an extension of the state house? Clearly in the laws, so that we don't run foul and continue with this situation. And again, what is so attractive about this United Kingdom, that our leaders run out of this country from time to time, either to enjoy themselves, go for medical attention, even when they deny it. Why can't you develop this country? And what you are, because it's not cheap running to the UK to run the government from the UK. I mean, some would have traveled with them. At what cost when you consider taxpayers' money? And so we need to really work on the expectations of good governance in this country. And that is why the likes of us keep driving the advocacy that no, we need good governance in this country. And if we can drive safely through this advocacy and our leaders see the need for them to upscale their effectiveness in office, then we begin to move in the, in the direction of prosperity.
And if they don't see the need, because you see sometimes when we say we're pushing these advocacies and hoping upon hope, it's like pouring water on the back of a chicken. And if they don't see the need to, be responsible or put accountability as their #1 watchword, what do we do?
Whether they see the need or not, you see, within ineffectiveness is the seed that we deal with ineffectiveness. And that is why we cannot stop the advocacy. Let me give you an example. The likes of Barrister Ubani went to court to challenge the vocal salaries that the National Assembly members collect. That is a move in the right direction. Those who started the advocacy for the independence of Nigeria, that will be 61 years in few days, did not do it in 3 days. You see, so we need to continue to engage. And look, for example, also, some of us have been talking about the unity of this country. Some of us have been talking about moving the country forward. But you can see the governors rising up now, dropping the tonga of South, South, Southeast, Southwest, Middle Belt to come together as governors in the South, confronting the governors from the North.
And you don't think that there's a political undertone to any of that, and you don't think that they're trying to score cheap political points, because you know that we're gradually getting to that season. You don't think there is any iota of some political undertone?
No. The insecurity that we have groomed in this nation now is a threat to all, whether you are a governor or you are a minister or you are a National Assembly member. And look at what happened in Chad. And so who says it cannot happen in Nigeria? Look at what happened in Afghanistan. Who says it cannot happen in Nigeria? So there are expectations of good governance. You talk about transparency, inclusiveness, efficiency, and effectiveness. You talk about accountability. You see, you talk about enhancing the fortunes of the people. And we are quick to take advantage and disadvantage of the Constitution. While some are arguing that the rotational presidency is not captured by the Constitution, is it not in Section 14, subsection 2 of Nigerian Constitution as amended, that the security and the welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government? Have you shut your eyes to the requirements of the Constitution? So you don't go ahead and be seeking to benefit from the Constitution when you ignore to carry out the mandate of good governance. And it appears as if the potent weapon that the people of Nigeria have is to continue to advocate. You saw what happened during the NSAS. Reports are coming out now that some military lethal weapons were engaged, even though they have denied severally. So we cannot stop driving the advocacy that what we deserve in Nigeria is good governance. Now the case of Prince ABIODUN is coming to the fore for discussion. And people will be enlightened on the issues. And we have raised some here now. Is our Constitution, is it elaborate enough in capturing the scenarios that may emanate from the actions of our leaders? And that is the dynamic aspect of the law. The laws are made for the people. So as we progress, as we invent, we also carry the dynamism along in our law. So can we come up with laws now that spells out the jurisdiction within which a governor can be managing the state? Can you claim that you go to Russia and be managing Nigeria from Russia? But like Barrister Obani mentioned also, you recall that at a time, the vice president of the country had to go and visit the president in the UK and return, I think, the same day to take instructions, and some key officials from the Aso Villa. So why don't you replicate those attractions in the UK in Nigeria? Why are you stressing the finances of the country when we are talking about low revenue, when we are talking about poverty? So these are the concerns of some of us. But like you have observed also, who are the ones to help enhance the potency of our laws? The Speaker of the House of Assembly is out of town. The Deputy Governor is out of town. The Governor is out of town. So you can see the three key characters in the governance architecture of Ogun State out of town. So are they the ones you now want to rely on to mobilize the forces within the governance system to make our laws effective or respect for the rule of law? So these are the concerns we have. But then we keep looking forward to moments when transformational leadership will take over the mindset of governance in Nigeria. And we cannot just in the towel of hope when it comes to this.
All right. Back to you, Dr. Bani, before we wrap this up. Does the law, the Constitution, have to expressly spell out all the scenarios? Because it seems like every day our politicians find new ways to subvert the Constitution. Of course, let's not forget the issue of court orders that have been disobeyed over and over. In fact, that's become the order of the day. But must we have a constitution? Because you see, I will never forget something that a presidential spokesperson for former President Goodluck Jonathan said at a time where we were fighting insecurity. Mr. Doyin Okupe, he did say that we have a Nigerian way of doing things. So do we also Nigerianize this constitution in a way that it has to spell out expressly everything that has to be done, and also think of future scenarios that politicians might also come up with to be able to hold these leaders to account?
Any constitution in the world will provide virtually for everything. What the constitution does is to lay a legal framework for a way of doing things in the state. And you fill in the gaps, with clear obedience to the provisions of the Constitution. I've never seen anywhere in the world, including the American Constitution. The American Constitution is smaller than that of Nigeria. You cannot write everything that should be done at any point in time through the Constitution. There are certain things you need to make basic provision for. And that's why I have said, if you look at that particular section that made provision for handing over, for transmitting power, it was specific that when you are going on holiday, use the word shall. If it is medical, if it is ordinary holiday, or you are unable to perform, you should. From the word go, the moment it is holiday, or you are unable, you must hand over, even if it's 1 week. But if you are not able to do that, the Constitution now says for 21 days, another arm of government comes in now to now say, Deputy Oya, automatically go and act. That is because you have breached the Constitution. From day one, if you fail to do it, you have offended the Constitution. And now you are attracting the second arm of government now to come in to do what you are supposed to do. And that is when the House comes in to pass a resolution. So there's no way the Constitution could have been more explicit. We can't provide for everything. It's just for us to have a culture of obedience to our laws. We have so many laws in the law books, but obedience culture is what we are lacking. And we must begin to emphasize this political culture of obedience. That's the only way we can make, progress as a nation. 61 years, very soon as a nation. Where are we? Can we really say we are meeting up with best international practices in terms of good governance? Are we obeying our laws? Are we making good laws that the people are benefiting from and all that? So there are issues. And I think we must have time to talk about Nigeria generally. Issue of governance, issue of obedience and all that to our laws and all that. It's a basic problem in this part of the world.
A big conversation that we might have, maybe we have to throw a town hall of sorts and have that conversation. But I want to say thank you. Dr. Obani is the former vice president of the Nigeria Bar Association. And of course, Barrister Jide Ologun is also a legal practitioner. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of this conversation.
I'm currently the chairman of Public Interest Development Law, Public Interest and Development Law That is it. That is my new position. I'm no longer former. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for being part of the conversation. And thank you all for staying with us. We will take a quick break. When we return, the Senate has passed the anti-kidnapping bill for a second reading on the floor. Now, a lot of people are wondering, what will this change if it becomes law? Stay with us.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Welcome to The Breakfast.
A breakfast where we unbundle top and big stories of the day.
Is vaccine the only way out of this pandemic?
No, definitely not.
Many Ghanaians just want a peaceful election and they are hoping there will be no rigging.
There is nothing bad in borrowing for infrastructure. The minister added that he was impressed.
Please come and see yourself what we are doing with the money we are borrowing.
It's very important. The way we brand ourselves is the way people will carry us.
It's just the driver of the two vehicles that were completely burned.
This one was here screaming.
What do you recommend the government do to support this sector?
Direct intervention, that's what every government all over the world has done.
We are not a parallel security structure. A multiple core is a complementary core.
What I will not encourage Christians to do is to carry dagger and follow anybody. No.
Join us on The Breakfast, 7 a.m., Monday to Friday.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby is presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes, but without showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
them. Then you go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Despite the several measures put in place by the Nigerian government, kidnapping has continued to be prevalent all over the country. At the plenary last Tuesday, the Senate passed for a second reading a bill proposing life imprisonment for the offense, of kidnapping or any form of abduction, wrongful restraint and confinement. The bill seeks to introduce stiffer punishments and punitive measures to combat and prevent kidnapping in Nigeria. Joining us to discuss this are legal practitioners Tunji Abdulhamid and Ngozi Akandu. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Tonight we've had so many lawyers on the show, so it's interesting. I'm going to start with you, Barrister Akandu. A lot of people are wondering what this particular bill would change in the scheme of things. And I'd just like to let you know that states also have some form of anti-kidnapping, bills, or rather acts and laws that already somewhat are tailored to deal with the issue of abductions and kidnappings. So the first question is, what difference would this particular bill, if it becomes law, make?
To be honest with you, I do not expect much difference to be made, especially in the aspect of availability of laws or acts, to take care of the problem of kidnap, terrorism, and so on and so forth in Nigeria. Much difference would not be made because we already have a lot of laws, a lot of acts, that, have to do with this particular problem in the country. The only way or aspect where we would expect something to, change might be the angle of enforcement. If only enforcement can, become more pursued and with respect to these situations in the country, I think the expected change, would have taken place. If the enforcements are not enhanced or made better than they have been in the past few years, then I don't think any difference should be expected.
Barrister Abdulhamid, let's look at the states and the laws that they have. Now, we know that Anambra, Enugu, Abia, Oyo, Cross River, Edo, Bayelsa, Bauchi states, Ebonyi, they already have, anti-kidnapping bills. At the state level, since 2008, many of these state governments have already introduced their own anti-kidnapping laws in an attempt to combat the crimes. But looking at what this bill, which has gone past its second reading on the floor of the National Assembly, is seeking to do, it wants to eliminate the present time frame for reporting and prosecuting defilement cases in Nigeria, as well as remove gender restrictions on the offense of rape by further educating on propensity of rape on both male and female victims. Now, this is one of the bills that is going to be under this anti-kidnapping, and that's mostly for rape. According to the senator that pushed for this, he's also saying that because this is a major security challenge across the country as we speak, he's also pushing that the punishment that used to be, they call it light. They're saying they want it to be stiffer for those who are kidnapping. But I still ask the same question. Can the ones that we already have not be amended instead of rewriting a new one and making it law?
I think they are not writing a new one. They are amending the current Criminal Code Act. That is the position there. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is that, look, we have a criminal code, we have penal code. The penal code applies only to in the southern part of the country, while the penal code applies only in another part of the country. Mm-hmm. So what is being amended, the proposed amendment now only relates to the criminal code as regards southern part of the country, not in the entire country. So the law as it is now, it will only affect the southern states. I think the proposed amendment in that bill is an important amendment, but I am of the view that amendment or even a new one cannot cure the problem on ground, because our problem is not about a lack of law. We have so many laws, just like my colleague said.
But we haven't seen many prosecutions in terms of these abductions. Let's start by the very famous kidnapper in Nigeria, Evans. Where is he? Where's his case? So maybe that's also part of the problem.
That is exactly where I'm going to now. that the problem is not about law. We don't lack law. We lack enforcement. That's our problem. So even if you have a law that now brings a death sentence and life imprisonment or whatever, it may not even change anything because we have law already on ground that regarding a death sentence in terms of armed robbery and the murder. People are still killing people. So you see, the problem we have in this country is about enforcement. We don't enforce our law. We don't punish people for the crime committed.
I'm sorry, I want to disagree with you a little bit. Evans has been arrested. He's in custody. He should be having his day in court. In fact, by now, it's taken years. By now, shouldn't he have been sentenced? So should we be saying that the problem is with the judiciary system? Or because I don't know if we can place this at the foot of the police, who are the law enforcers. They have done their part. They've done their beat. Every single Nigerian was holding on to that string of hope that when Evans is made to hang, and I'm using the word hang loosely here, it might have set some precedents or become some form of deterrent for whoever wants to go in that way. But we're seeing more and more of these abductions because someone like Evans is still yet to have his day and justice is yet to have its course.
You agree with me, maybe.
I'm agreeing with you.
That's what I'm saying. There's no enforcement. If the enforcement is low, even where there is. And we're even talking about Evans. Is the only Evans that we have? People in the north that are kidnapping students and whatever. How many of them have been arrested? How many of them have been prosecuted? We have so many of them. I mean, what they are doing is not kidnapping. Those who have been carrying our school children and all those. That is the kidnapping. How many of them have been arrested? How many of them have you seen? How many of them have been paraded? We have been told by the ministers and that they will not declare their names. They are declaring the names of those who are indebted, who are corrupt. The law is there that they remember the law, that the law says you cannot publish names because they have not been convicted. But in terms of kidnapping, those who have been kidnapping in the north, in the other part of the country, they said they will keep their name to their chest. You see, that's why we're having the problems. The problem is that those who are in charge are not enforcing the law the way it should be enforced. They are not taking legal proper action in terms of punishing people who have been committing crime. That's why people are being encouraged to do more. So the issue is not about law. If you like, go and do law every day and they make it a death sentence every day. It will not change anything if you don't have the will to enforce the law. So what the problem is about enforcing the law. So the changing of the law is not, like I said, the proposed amendment is very important because in refinement and rape matters, we have time limits, which affects sometimes from people from bringing out a case after a while. Yeah, it's very important. But notwithstanding that will not change much in the terms of kidnapping in this country because we are not dealing with those who are kidnapping. We are treating them with levity. We are even considering amnesty for people who have been kidnapping people or who have been killing people. So sad. So I don't have any hope that will cure anything.
Let me go back to Barrister Kandu. I don't know if Barrister Kandu, you want to come in? Yeah, go ahead.
Something slightly. Yes, I want to add slightly to the Evans example. I think the Evans situation is a portrayal of the enforcement problem we have in this country. We begin to look into these things or, begin to concentrate on a particular case when suddenly it becomes sensational, it becomes more public, too public to be ignored. That is what the Evans case has shown to us. We calm down, we become silent, we settle down, we become lackadaisical to enforcement of all these laws and all these acts until something very sensational happens. Then you see them begin to make noise all over the place. It is not as if we don't have a plethora of instances where kidnaps and all these crimes are taking place. But it's just that when somebody becomes unlucky enough to come into the eye of the public, you see it becomes sensational. Noise is being made all over the country. This goes to show the problem of enforcement we have in this country. We don't enforce laws until something goes out of hand and becomes a public knowledge. Then you see the whole world becoming, aware of it, and then we can't run away from it. That is what the Evans thing has shown to us.
To borrow your own words, get out of hand. The number of abductions and even deaths that have resulted from these abductions, have they not gotten out of hand? And the question I wanted to ask you before you chimed in on the issue that Abdulhamid raised, what do you think the challenge is in terms of enforcement? Is it lack of expertise? Is it brain drain? What exactly could it be? Because we have our police, we have the soldiers, we have the joint task force. These people are all working together to rid us of these bandits and abductions and kidnappings. But what do you think the challenge is? Because one minute we see a Sheikh Gumi going into where these bandits are, having meetings with them, and now we even hear that some security personnel, accompany him. But then we hear that we cannot find these bandits. We do not know where they are. So I really do not know. What is the challenge, really, with the enforcement and making sure that these people are brought to justice?
You see, it is not difficult to throw away the possibility of compromise and things like this. There have been suggestions all over the place of, people gaining from what is going on. Even though we may not be able to point hands at one or two persons, but they have been, in the past few weeks, there have been expositions of, names of people who are one way or the other connected with, these bandits, one way or the other connected with their activities. And you see the federal government not, playing to our expectation of bringing these people to book. It raises questions of complicity. When you expect the federal government to do something, they appear to not be that serious. I read in the Guardian newspaper a few days ago how
I think we're having connection issues with Barrister Kandu there, so I'm going to toss it back to Abdulhamid.
Are you with me?
Okay, you're back. Great. Go ahead. We lost you for a second.
We have an instance of a few days ago. I think I read.
Oh dear, the connection is off
No,
again.
it's saying some. Are we still having the connection issue?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. We had an instance a few days ago. I was reading the Guardian newspaper where Safemi Falana and some other lawyers, who are my friends, we are talking about, how the federal government is being slow in prosecuting terror suspects. Even though the federal government a few months ago, before the judicial workers' strike, said that it was only the judicial workers' strike that is holding them back or delaying them from such prosecution. Now, the strike has been over for over 2-3 months. We still haven't had anything from the federal government. It goes to show that, sometimes you begin to ask questions. Is it that we are not interested in getting these people prosecuted, or there is something we are missing? There was also this instance of...
Do we have to wait for the federal government? Look at me as a greenhorn now. Do we have to wait for the federal government to prosecute these said people? Because it's out there. There's a list of people, even though the federal government is saying they're not interested in naming and shaming, but I remember vividly where the AGF said that they're more interested in bringing them to justice. So even if there is no public naming and shaming, if these names are with take for example, the Attorney General, can people who are through the FOI or something not get that information so that these people can be prosecuted? Again, look at me as a greenhorn. I do not understand the processes, but maybe you can help us.
Yes. The process of criminal justice or prosecution, starts with the preferment of charges against suspects. And only the Attorney General of the Federation or the Attorney General of the state has this power to commence prosecution procedure, or somebody to whom a fiat to commence or proceed with such prosecution is given or awarded. Without those things happening, without the Attorney General of the Federation commencing this procedure, it cannot happen. And then he knows he or the Attorney Generals of the Attorneys General of the states know they have these powers, which they can exercise or refuse or fail to exercise. So the powers they have are so strong and almost absolute that if they sit and say, we will not prosecute, nothing happens. And they have the law to back them up, in that line of thought, in that line of action. So they can decide not to prosecute and nothing can happen. That is why we are looking up to them, looking onto them, say, do this, which the law says you must do. Why are you not doing it? You made a promise that you're going to do this. You have not done it yet. But he has been promising. I think there was an interview he granted recently where he said that modalities are being put in place to make sure that these things take place, these prosecutions commence and conclude the way they were expected to. But we still haven't seen anything yet. That is why these lawyers, we all have been complaining. Why the delay? Why are you not prosecuting these people? That's the challenge we are having.
Finally, Tunji, in the absence of them not doing this, or if they decide not to, or they do not follow through, as we have seen many times, what then happens? Because we're all, on the one hand, trying to put an end to the abductions. We're trying to put an end to banditry. We're trying to make sure that people live safely in this country and we can go about our businesses. As you can see, as we all know, there's trickling effects of this banditry and the abductions and the kidnappings. We're having issues of food shortages. We're having problems with food and traders traveling from one part of the country to the other. There seems to be some form of chaos, and it's going to have more and more trickling effects. Governors have decided in the southern part of the country that there will not be open grazing again. So that's also an issue. Measures are being taken, but if all of this does not happen, like he has said, if the AGF does not, one way or the other, make sure that these prosecutions take place, what then do we do?
There's nothing you can do. The only person that can prosecute is the AG. And if he has the right to determine who to prosecute or who not to prosecute, and when to prosecute and when not to prosecute, it is his responsibility. Well, we can do something, but we can protest. We can raise issues. We can make it public and let people know what is going on in the country about non-prosecution of the people who have been killing people. You see, we are not my problem. The problem we are having is that there is no political will on the part of the government. There is no political way. A situation whereby you see the government defending those who have been called bandits, who have been kidnapping people. They are giving excuses for reason why they are doing what they are doing. They are trying to bring them back to the society by what they call it. They say the amnesty or whatever. They are reinstating them into society. That is not the way to go. You see, when we now talk about only, in fact, it's unfair on Evan for him to be in custody now, to be even facing trial, when we have people, bandits, who are killing people up and down. I'm not aware that Evan was alleged to have killed anybody. These people are killing people, and they are kidnapping without any fear of anything, and they are still there. So the issue we are having is there's no political will to punish for crime. The sentiment of ethnic sentiment and other sentiments are clouding our not allowing us to do what we are supposed to do. So the issue is, until we have people in government who will do things without fear or favor, that's where we can get it done. If we like, go and do law. 1,000 times of kidnapping.
Well, we have to go. I wonder how many more people have to die for us to find that political will within our governments. But I want to say thank you, Ngozi Akandu and Tunji Abdulhamid, both legal practitioners. Thank you for being part of the conversation.
It's always a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you.
We will take a short break now to see what Nigerians have to say about the new anti-kidnapping law in Nigeria. Stay with us. And when we come back, I'll be giving you my goodbyes.
Due to the fact that there have been high rate of kidnapping and people are going to extort money from other individuals trying to struggle up and actually make themselves for a living. So I think getting kidnapping laws will actually reduce it.
Yeah, I think we need it to curtail the insecurity issue, because most people are turning the kidnapping into a huge business right now, coupled with what's happening with the, Fulani headsmen. They are going crazy about that. Not only them, other parts of the country, there are serious insecurity issues in the west, in the east, in the south, and in the north. So I think we need to have anti-security law to penalize every kidnapper.
Sure, but there is existing law now. Kidnapping is a capital offense. There is existing law. Unless you want to, now that it's very rampant, they can review it and then increase the punishment. Surely we need it. And let government look into unemployment.
You see, the problem in Nigeria is not laws. It's the willingness and the political will to carry out the law. I can give you an assurance that if these laws are passed today, they'll still mess it up. It may not be effective. So the most important thing, do have the willingness to implement the law. Just 2 days ago, the Taliban government in Afghanistan executed kidnappers. But what do you say in Nigeria? We give them amnesty, integrate them to the national security forces. Is that how to go? So I'm giving assurance that even if these laws are passed today, it may not be effective. If you don't have the political willingness, sincerity, the temerity to forge ahead and make sure that it's implemented.
Let's hope that our government will find that political will and do what's right for us as Nigerians. I'm Marianne Okon. Have a good evening.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.